Good morning, everyone. See? I'm with Fishy in Maine.
Oh, hello. Your computer's not on.
I want to just use this video to kind of document my life and my process, and hopefully someone will find it interesting. But if they don't, that's okay. At least I'll have it to look back on to kind of see what I was up to and how it went. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of dig more into video creation and editing, and also just build consistency in my musical output. The song that I wrote this week is called Fishy. The fishy the title is referring to are these alewife fishes. In this area, these alewives, they swim up from the ocean and they go up a fish ladder to the lake, and they breed in there, and when the little fishes are born, they swim back to the ocean. Since the lake is at a higher elevation, they have to go in these little rock pools and rest, and these rock pools have been around for a long time, so they needed to be restored. So over the weekend, I participated in a 5K running race called Running with the Alewives. This race was a fundraiser for the organization that restored the fish ladder. So these are the kind of main activities that you find around here. That's usually how I come up with my titles. They're just a reference to something that's on my mind or something that's going on in my life. I wouldn't necessarily say that the music thematically has anything to do with fish, but that's what it is. The song itself is just something that kind of was born out of an improvisation. I wrote a chord progression and melody, and it's just a fun chord progression to improvise over. It's G minor 7, E half diminished, A7, D7, basically. And it's just a fun tune. So the melody is very simple. There's pretty much just an A melody, but I'm trying to write music that can be taught to others easily because I have a recording project coming up in July. I don't want the band members to be looking at charts, so I'm trying to write music that's just very easy. I don't know how interested everyone is on kind of the nuts and bolts of how I make my music, but feel free to ask questions in the comments if you want to know. I have kind of a makeshift setup here. I borrowed a keyboard from my mom, who is conveniently, their house is just down the road from where we're staying. Usually when I'm back in my hometown, I'm kind of craving rest and relaxation, and that's something that I need, especially if I've been in New York or in a city. I'm craving just some time to slow down and to rest, but this trip feels a little bit different. We have this momentum coming in. It just feels like I have a lot more creative energy and just kind of motivation to push and just create, and it's been cool to kind of see how my productivity has compounded over time. Usually I would get overwhelmed with one kind of medium, whether it's creating music or working on a website. Like if I had client work, web development client work, then I wouldn't have the capacity to create music. I kind of had to focus on one or the other. I would be able to create music, but I wouldn't have the capacity to create videos and edit videos. But now I feel like there's more of a balance of everything. I'm able to kind of operate at a higher capacity, and that's something that I've definitely built up to over time, especially this past year as a sober person. Not having those distractions definitely allows for a lot more focus. So I feel like the last few years I've really laid the groundwork. I've spent a lot of time developing my skills, producing music, coding, and now I'm just excited to kind of dig deep and just create. So I've been learning some fiddle tunes, and then also I've really been into songs. So I posted some videos of me singing, which has been interesting. I really need a vocal coach, so if you know someone who could help me out, that would be amazing. A new process that I've been excited about is using splice samples and kind of blending those together, especially from different genres. I think that's a really cool way to kind of find new sounds and new beats. Previously, I would just build up my drum loops from one-shot samples. A one-shot is just like a single drum hit as opposed to a loop. And this would be very time consuming for me. I'm not a drummer, and I would just get frustrated with how long it would take me to create the drums, and then I would usually not be happy with the drum groove. So it was just kind of a lot of work just to get to a place that sounded good, and then when it came time to add the other instruments, I was just kind of exhausted and sick of it. So lately, I've been having a lot of fun kind of using pre-made loops and chopping those up in a creative way, trying to, not just drag and drop them in, but kind of make them my own. And I think this is working really well, because I think my strength lies in the more melodic and chordal elements, keyboard based. I've heard a lot of wisdom about surrounding this, kind of learning what your strengths are and playing to your strengths. So I'm just trying to think about that and not get too bogged down with the nuts and bolts. Create a framework that I can be creative within. So I hope you like the result. I've released some music before. Before I was using the moniker Sambrosia, and I released electronic music. This was 2018, 2019. I was really inspired by techno, especially the underground techno happening in New York City. I was following around DJs like Moma Reddy and Acemo. Definitely check them out. Going to these clubs and just loving just the intensity of that music. Electronic music was really an inspiration to me. I kind of had drifted away from jazz at that time, was doing more producing and less playing piano. There's also an element of not having a proper place to play the piano, or maybe feeling self-conscious about that. But now I'm just realizing that there's just an ebb and a flow. I think as long as you're creating, as long as you're learning, you don't need to really be too concerned with the genre that you're making or the specific art that you're making, especially a fledgling creative. And you're trying to find your sound, and you're trying to figure out who you are. It feels really good to create and release music again. This is really where my passion lies, as much as I enjoy the tech stuff. I enjoy programming and web development and design. I think that recording and performing and improvising, that's really my true passion, and something that I don't think I've really given an honest go at. I've played gigs and I've done this and that, but I really haven't put in the hours to kind of figure out who I am as an artist, who I am as a producer. So I'm excited to kind of go down that path and figure it out. A big part of that is just creating a body of work. I also am excited to just practice being on camera and learn to show my personality and kind of find my voice, my speaking voice too. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please like and subscribe. Join me on this journey. Peace.